A few days ago, one of my students asked me a question. He said, "You always say that you can emulate any master's mix work easily with your mixing theories, but you have never done so. Could you just emulate someone that we are familiar to prove this?" I say, "Yeah, sure, that's easy. You name it. Let me know which one do you want to emulate." And he said, "How about CLA?" I say, okay, CLA, okay. So there are two things I need to emulate. One is his mixing style, and another one is his SSL console. I don't have an SSL console, but I'm sure that I can make you feel enough similarity with my mix. So here it comes, this mix. So, before I start to talk about this session, I like to talk about some of my thoughts during my mix. First of all, this is a session that CLA has done about 5 or 6 years ago when he demonstrated the Slate Digital plugin. But we all know that he didn't use the plugin mixed version for the album release. That record was actually mixed on a real SL console, just like he always do. And let's listen to it and see how was it. Actually, when I was listening to this mix, I feel especially the chorus part is overcompressed. It's from the mastering process. I guess it's heavily compressed to get a louder result. But actually, nowadays, we don't have to do this anymore. We have good enough technology to make it very loud without overcompress it, okay? And as usual, I use only one main plugin to mix this song. So today, let's talk about it. Hey guys, how you doing? This is Kinghand.Lee, a mixing and mastering engineer. So as usual, I use one main plugin to mix every song. But you can see on these tracks, I usually use 3 plugins. So what are they? Let's check it out. The first plugin is the main plugin today, which is the MCDSP 6060. Well, I know that's a plugin from many years ago, but still is one of the best plugins I've ever used. And after that, I used an MBSI and a BrainWorks SSL plugin. And I didn't adjust these 2 plugins because I use them only for some coloration purpose. Because this plugin, this MBSI, can give sound a core. We know that when we are listening to some analog gears, it usually has a core that in most digital sound you can hear. The BrainWorks SSL console, I just use it to get some specific SSL tone from it. So it doesn't matter whether you use BrainWorks or Waves or any other SSL emulator, they all sound similar. So let's talk about this MCDSP. I can say that this plugin is the most underestimated plugin because when I was trying to use this plugin, I watched the introduction video on YouTube from MCDSP itself, but I see that very few people watched that video, so it means it's not popular. Okay, I know it's not popular, but still, I think it's one of the best because it has a special parallel mix function that other plugins don't have. Most people just use this rack as a combination of EQs and compressors and other special effects or coloration effects. But that's not the most powerful thing that 6060 can do. For example, let me add a compressor on the first slot and EQ on the second slot. Okay, that's usually what we do when we mix, right? After that, if we want to emulate some analog errors, sometimes we use some saturation plugin or distortion plugins to do it. Okay, for example, I use this as the distortion plugin. Usually, a plugin with parallel mix function will have a knob here that is called mix knob, and you can turn it left or right to determine how much the mixed signal is mixed in the whole thing. But there isn't a mix knob here, but that is why 6060 is so powerful, because let's assume there is a mix knob here, and when I turn to hard left, the distortion effects is completely gone, and when I turn it to hard right, the distortion effects is completely blended in. But what if I want to process this distortion? How can we achieve it? We can only do some signal routing, and it's complex, right? But in 6060, you don't have to do this. For example, I want to EQ the distortion. Let me add an EQ after it. And then you can see there is an I button here, here, and here on every rack, right? Okay, let me hit it here. So from here, the signal was split into two signal routing. One is from here to here and to the A knob. And the B routing is from this one, you hit the I button, to the last one. And this signal goes to the B knob so that you can deal with these EQs no matter how you process it. And it doesn't affect this signal. You can also mute A or B, the signal A or signal B, to adjust only one of them. And after that, you can blend them together by adjusting the volume. That's the most important part of the 6060. And next, I'll show you what I did with this mix. Okay, firstly, let's look at the kick drum, which is the first track I've ever mixed. And let's listen to it first. And besides the MBSI and the BX console SSL, I also add a tape machine emulator after it, but that's not an important factor to what the kick drum sounds like. Okay, so let's focus on the MCDSP and see how it ends up here. Let me bypass it first. Okay, this is the original sound. And firstly, let me mute the B knob and listen to the A. You can see I used a compressor and EQ to make it as bright as possible, just like CLA does, and a high cut and low cut and some bumpings here. That's what the signal routing A does. And let's listen to the signal routing B. And here is a saturation module with a compressor module. Yeah, we can hear that it's dirty, right? But it doesn't matter. I can blend it in the signal A. Let me listen to it together. Firstly, A. And then B. I think you can hear the difference, right? And then let's listen to it in the whole music. And then let's listen to the snare drum. There are 3 tracks of it, and I combine them together to mix. And there are also 2 signal routes here. And let's listen to the whole thing first. Okay, bypass it. Okay, one compressor, two EQs. That's the routing A, and then let's listen to the B. Okay, a high cut, low cut, little bumping, and a distortion. Okay, now let's combine them together. And in the music. Okay, then let's move on to the next track. This track, I think it's used for the clarity of the whole drum set. Also, I will bypass the plugin first. And you can see it here, you can see it from the screen. These two racks are going to the signal routing A, and these are going to the routing B. And in the A routing, there's a gate and a saturation, and in the B routing, there's a cut and a compressor. And let's listen to them separately. This is A, and this is B. And I combine them together without, with, and in the music. This is the overhead. And without, with, okay, let's listen to the signal A first. And B. A compressor with a distortion is routing B. And this is routing A, and we combine them together. Okay, so far it sounds dirty enough. And then the room track. Without the 60-60, with, we can see it here that I only use the saturation in the routing B, and compressor and an EQ in the routing A. And let's listen to them separately. And routing B. Combine them together. In the music. let's move on and ignore some tracks that are not important. Let's see the main guitar of this song. And you can see all the process I did on every track is similar. Compressor, EQ, and the compressor and the distortion. The first compressor and EQ is going to the routing A, and the compressor and the distortion, or sometimes saturation, goes to the routing B. And combine them together is the whole thing. Let's listen to the A first. And this is the B. And let's combine them together. The best part of this distortion is I can adjust the tone. That determines which part of the frequency I want it to be distorted the most. Because on the real analog console, the distortion or the saturation is not equal. It's not like the 20 Hz and the 20K Hz, they all distorted on the same level, and that's not true. So based on this, I can decide which part of the frequency is distorted the most and make it more like the real analog console. And let's move on to the next guitar track. And this track is simpler. I only use the compressor and an EQ to process it. Okay, it's pretty easy. I don't think I need to explain it too much. All right, and the next one, I assume it's the same. Yeah, it's almost the same. A compressor with an EQ and with a high cut and low cut. Without it. And I just want to make it brighter. And I didn't even use the MBSI afterwards because I think it's bright enough, it's solid enough. I don't need the MBSI to give it another core. Okay, and let's move on to the last guitar track, which is this. Let's listen to it. Without it. With. All right, I think I don't need to explain them too much. And for these keyboard tracks, it's pretty similar to those sounds before. Just I used some of the distortion. Let's listen to the original first. Processed. Actually, I don't have to use this distortion here, but I just wanted to make it more dirty. Let's bypass this distortion. With the distortion. Okay, let's listen to this track in the music and see if it's good to add the distortion. would prefer it with the distortion because it makes music more cohesional, right? Okay, I think that's almost. One track I haven't introduced is the bass track. Okay, and let's listen to this bass track. The whole bass part is combined with the amp track and the DI track. I didn't process any of the DI track because I think it's good enough. As to the bass amp track, I tried two plugins. The first is the CLA Mix Hub. Let's listen to the CLA Mix Hub instead of 6060. You can see it here. I also used some kind of distortion here because I turned the mic knob up a lot and made it distorted. But I think that this distortion is too equal. So I tried to use the 6060 to make a not that equal distortion. Let's listen to it here. And signal A without distortion at all, and the signal B whole distortion here, and I combine them together. Now I get the distortion I wanted. I think this distortion makes the whole music fuller than I use the CLA Mix Hub. Let's compare them. Okay, for my ear, I think with the CLA Mix Hub plugin, the bass sounds cleaner, and with the 6060, it sounds fuller. But if you let me make the decision, I will choose the 6060. Okay, so here is what I did to emulate CLA's mix and his SSL console. Although there is not any module that is specifically emulating the SSL console in the 6060 plugin, but I can still make it sounds like SSL. And after I finished this mix, my student sold out all his analog gears, and he tried to use only plugin to mix every song. So what do you guys think about it? Do you think they are similar enough to make you get rid of every piece of your hardware? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. This is Kinghand.Lee. See you next time. Russian
to the